Hello, Colorado. My team and I have been hard at work creating legislation that protects your rights, improves our economy, improves our water and lands, and does so much more. You can learn all about what we're doing each week through my newsletter. Sign up by going to boebert.house.gov. But for now, I want to give you an update on just some of the legislation that I've been working on. We all know that our supply chain is in trouble. We've all seen the videos of the cargo ships stuck at sea, which is just one of the reasons we're seeing empty shelves at the grocery store and higher prices. Biden may not have an answer to this crisis, but Republicans do. Fixing the supply chain starts with passing my Protecting American Energy Jobs Act to repeal Biden's anti-energy executive orders, get gas prices back under control, provide rural jobs, and restore American energy dominance. We also need to pass my American Infrastructure Modernization Act. The AIM Act reallocates $650 billion of unspent CARES funding for critical infrastructure like roads and bridges. My bill will fix our ports without raising taxes or increasing government spending by even 1 cent, since it uses already appropriated funds and it doesn't raise your taxes. I also co-sponsored Congressman Chip Roy's Beat China Act to strengthen and bring jobs back to American soil and to reduce American over-reliance on global supply chains by incentivizing manufacturers to move production facilities to the United States. In addition, I joined 100 of my colleagues in a letter calling out Biden for selling out our oil supply chain to OPEC. I stand with the American roughneck, not OPEC, and believe that we make the cleanest, most affordable, reliable energy right here in America. Not only am I taking care of the energy problems, but I'm putting forward natural resource policies that work for Colorado. One of the first bipartisan efforts I led was to keep the Bureau of Land Management headquarters in Grand Junction, Colorado. I held roundtables, signed on to bipartisan and bicameral letters, filed amendments, and introduced bills all designed to keep the Bureau's headquarters in Grand Junction. Sadly, when the push came to shove, Senators Bennett and Hickenlooper refused to stand tall and use their leverage to benefit the people of Colorado. Unfortunately, it was all talk with no action. Now, the headquarters is scheduled to move back to DC, but here's the deal. That move isn't scheduled to happen until 2023. So when Republicans retake the majority, that move might have to get canceled. I'm also working to reduce wildfires by responsibly managing our forests. Wildfires and forest management touch nearly every individual and issue within our communities, from forest health to natural resource management to water resiliency to infrastructure and transportation. My bill will do all of this while creating cleaner water and air by mitigating catastrophic forest fires that emit more carbon emissions in just a few short days than all of the cars running 24/7 for an entire year in the state of Colorado. While I've been working to reduce wildfires, the Biden regime has been busy setting fires on the southern border. I joined on to Congressman Matt Rosendale's letter calling out Secretary Mayorkas for scrapping ICE and DHS while our country is being overrun by criminal aliens. Mayorkas turned the whole country into a sanctuary city by prohibiting ICE from enforcing the rule of law at woke colleges, welfare offices, playgrounds, and Antifa riots. Additionally, Mayorkas directed ICE to not arrest removable aliens. Biden and Mayorkas are disregarding the rule of law and allowing open borders. In a public address, Secretary Mayorkas said, "If you see something, say something." Well, my colleagues are seeing the DHS gutted from within, and we're saying something. In the last year, nearly 2 million illegal aliens have crossed our southern border, and the number of drug traffickers attempting to cross our border has increased over 450%. The number of sex criminals crossing increased over 200%, and the number of serial border jumpers crossing increased over 400%. Now more than ever, we need ICE to be doing removals. But this isn't the only scandal going on at DHS. I also joined 17 of my colleagues in a letter to Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas, Attorney General Merrick Garland, and Secretary of Health and Human Services Xavier Becerra, demanding an explanation for their plan to give illegal aliens $450,000 for so-called trauma they experienced when they were caught by Border Patrol for breaking our laws. In Biden's America, it is better to be a criminal than a military service member or law enforcement officer. Criminal aliens could get $450,000 apiece, but the families of the 13 service members Biden let die in Kabul only get $400,000. Criminal aliens don't need to be vaccinated to get this money either, but Border Patrol agents will be fired if they don't take the vaccine. Democrats are letting the country get overrun by crime by simultaneously taking away your Second Amendment right to defend yourself. I joined over 100 of my House Republican colleagues in a letter demanding the Biden regime clarify its stance on the anti-Second Amendment United Nations Armed Trade Treaty, ATT, after Biden announced his intent to rejoin the treaty. United Nations bureaucrats should not have control of Americans' constitutional rights. When Obama signed the ATT in 2013, it was met with broad bipartisan opposition, and it failed to be ratified by the Senate. I will work to ensure Congress rejects this monstrosity once again. As the left is attacking the Constitution, Americans across the country are standing up to defend our foundational values. Nowhere is this more clear than the movement all across America of parents standing up and getting involved in their school board meetings. As your representative, I sent a letter to Attorney General Garland demanding to know what data he was using to assert that school boards were seeing an increase in violent threats. As it turns out, the only basis the Attorney General had for telling the FBI to target American parents as domestic terrorists was a now rescinded letter from the National Association of School Boards. Astonishingly, the corruption in Secretary Garland's letter didn't end there. I also asked for additional information regarding his conflict of interest since his son financially benefits from pushing critical race theory. Of all of the American fundamental principles I'm fighting for, none is more fundamental than the right to life. I sent a letter to the Department of Justice demanding an investigation into the NIH's funding of harvesting organs from aborted babies. Harvesting organs of aborted babies is barbaric, and it's a practice that should be relegated to horror movies, not taxpayer-funded so-called research. I joined over 100 members of Congress demanding that the Department of Justice investigate the barbaric and flagrantly illegal practice that is taking place at the University of Pittsburgh. In response, we received a dismissive letter that could neither confirm nor deny an investigation. No surprise here, since Merrick Garland's DOJ is too busy investigating parents they perceive to be domestic terrorists. I also joined with my colleagues in filing an amicus brief defending the Second Amendment to the Supreme Court, which is reviewing a case challenging New York's restrictive gun laws. If we win, this decision could solidify the right to bear arms for 85 million Americans. Those liberal states have passed may issue laws to curtail that right. It's not just the Second Amendment. As I'm sure you've heard, the Biden regime is attacking our constitutional liberties, including privacy. I co-sponsored the Protecting Financial Privacy Act to prohibit the IRS from assessing the monitoring of Americans' bank transactions like never before. The federal government has no business monitoring small cash deposits and how Americans pay their bills, and has no right to snoop around in private checking accounts without a warrant. Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden are trying to ram the Build Back Better Act through without reading the bill or learning anything about its economic impacts on the country. I joined with many of my Republican colleagues in a letter stating that it is irresponsible to vote on the Build Back Better Act until the Congressional Budget Office finishes its report to figure out exactly how much this will cost the average American family and how this spending monstrosity will impact the American economy. While I'm working hard in DC to stop horrible bills and advance solid conservative legislation, my team back home and I are doing phenomenal work in the district, providing constituent services. Recently, my office was contacted by a local Colorado veteran who wanted to answer the call of service and re-enlist in the Navy. He was honorably discharged due to medical issues, but he eventually became healthy again and desired to re-enlist. Even though his doctor medically cleared him, the Navy initially denied his re-enlistment and found him to be medically disqualified. He then contacted my office for help. I reached out to the Department of the Navy on his behalf, and they agreed to review his case. I am pleased to report that upon second review, the medical advisor reversed his original determination. This American hero is now in the process of formally re-enlisting to once again serve this great country. Thank you, sir, for your service. And if any of you are having an issue with the VA, IRS, Social Security, or any other federal agencies, please contact my office and we will get to work on your behalf. So far, I have worked on hundreds of cases, nearly 600 for Coloradans, and I have returned over $340,000 to the people of Colorado's 3rd Congressional District. It's the honor of my life to serve Colorado's 3rd District. And as you can tell, I've been busy. I'll keep working hard to preserve your rights, reduce the size and scope of federal government, and put forward legislation that addresses the real issues Americans are facing. Thank you, and God bless you.